Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Bahashem, and then Mashiach Yahushua. Those are their true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, Lashwan Kadash of the tongue. And I say Barakatham to the elders, while Akim Akwaf, and I say Shalom. And this is a sit-down lesson about prophecy updates as of November the 30th, 2024 on a Saturday afternoon. And this is a news article of November the 30th, 2024, and it reads, Trump threatens BRICS. Anyone who looks to replace the dollar can wave goodbye to the American, the president-elect Trump has declared. Wow, why are we seeing the pushing of the MOTB, of the RFID and the CHIP, of this cashless society, as we see in the countries leaning towards the digital dollar, the digital money, digital ID, digital wallet, digital currency. Now, keep this in mind, you have Trump is fully represented and fully shown forth, of him promoting the Bitcoin, especially during his campaign trail, now that he's a president-elect. Now he threatened the BRICS nations, which they've been formed since 2015 all the way into now. As you had the BRICS meetings, I would say like a month and a half ago, as they, introduced as a new form of currency, try to overthrow the American dollar and the EU dollar as well too. So now that he threatened the BRICS, that's going to cause more divisions, especially from an economic war perspective. Even though we're going to see the paper dollar is going to be a thing of the past, even if it's from North America and these different parts around the country as well too. So that's going to come, that's going to cause a sedition. That's going to cause an uprise. There's going to be some people that's going to be glad to take the MOTB of the digital currency of this cashless society, and some it's not going to stand against it. They're going to rebel against it. There's going to be an uproar. There's going to be an uprising. There's going to be an insurrection of it as well too. So it's going to be an actual war. There's going to be an economical war as well too. That's why the scripture says, St. Mark chapter 3, verse 23 to verse 26. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. And you're going to have Edomites, Idumea, Ashash, or he that wastes away. You're going to have Edomites divided over over the digital currency of some that's not going to welcome the full implementation and the full mandatory of the central digital bank currency of this Bitcoin, stable coin, because it's going to have mixed reactions. Some is going to be welcome the central digital bank currency of the cashless society. Some is going to fully welcome that in their countries, and some is not going to be part of that. Some are going to impose it. So there's going to cause great divisions and tensions on both sides. And it's going to cause a sedition. It's going to cause an uproar. It's going to cause a insurrection, which is an uprise against it, So that's going to be an economic war. So I just want to add, additional side notes to that. It says Trump threatens the BRICS. Anyone looking to replace the U.S. dollar can wave goodbye to the American. The president-elect Trump has declared the BRICS nations will be hit with 100% tariffs on their goods if they try to introduce a reserve currency to the rival dollar, which, as we've been seeing under the Biden administration, under President Biden currently, you've been seeing the BRICS nations been turning away from the American dollar. We've been seeing the countries turning away from the American dollar, turning away from the EU dollar, coming with their own form of currencies, especially with the current nations that they've been hit with economic sanctions from the United States and the Western countries as well too. That's why we've been seeing, for the past 2 or 3 years, we've been seeing the nations turning away from the American dollar, dropping the American dollar and turning away from it as well too. So it's going to cause division among the nations, especially from an economical war perspective. And this is a news article as of November the 30th, 2024, and it reads, and this is uproars in people in the world, like it says in Luke 21, verse 25. It says the groups attack Iranian consultant in Syria. Tehran reports no diplomatic or staff members were injured or killed in the assault in Aleppo, the Iranian foreign minister spokesperson has said. Iran's consultant in the Syrian city of Aleppo has came under attack by the groups elements, the Islamic Republic foreign minister claimed on Saturday. A former local Al-Qaeda affiliate launched a major offense against the city this week. The diplomatic missions. The diplomatic missions was attacked by armed militants, and a military spokesperson told journalists, adding that the Iranian consul general and all diplomatic members assaulted in Aleppo were unarmed. Tehran will provide a serious response to the attack, both legally and internationally, as Begaria said, if I pronounced the name right. The spokesperson did not provide any details about the incident. And this is the president of Syria as of November 30th, 2024. And it reads, it says Syria will defeat and destroy the groups, Assad reports. The nation's president has said his forces and allies are capable of holding back the jihad advance. It says the Syrian president Bashar Assad has vowed to defeat the jihad currently ramping through the north of his country, no matter how intense their attacks are. His comments came as the Syrian armies geared up to defend the city of Haman from the attackers. I meant to say. Okay. Yeah, when you put that plastic on there, that'll do it. I'm gonna get the plastic and make one get it. Oh, okay. You ready? See that? That cold coming, feel that? Feel that air? Yeah, it's coming down here. Yeah, I'll put it all the way from here. That's from that one. Yeah. It's coming from there. It ain't coming on this side. It's running still. Yeah. All up on the roof. Yep, all on there. But there too. They ain't coming from that on that side. What I got to do, that side thing I got to do right. Mm-hmm. That's what it. Oh, okay. I'll be in there when you. All right. Okay. Salaki for the momentarily pause. It says Georgia's police arrest over 100 in a pro-Western protest. I believe they're doing it for the third night as well, too. It says Kaviv fired officials after a Marlopol revelations, if I'm not mistaken. It says Russia could resume nuclear tests, Deputy Foreign Minister reports. It says as of November 30th, 2024, it reads, it says Russia could resume nuclear tests, the Deputy Foreign Minister. Moscow observed of a voluntary mandatory since 1990. Russia does not rule out the resumptions of nuclear tests. It says which it has not conducted since the waning days of the Soviet Union. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov has said, asked in an interview to TASS on Saturday whether Moscow considered his options as a response to the exclamatory actions of the U.S. Ryabkov replied that the issue is on the agenda. Without getting ahead myself, I will simply say that the situation is quite complex. It is continuously being considered in all the components and aspects, he said. Despite being in a major nuclear power, modern Russians have never conducted a nuclear test under the voluntary moratorium, with the last on one date dating back 1990, before the collapse of the Soviet Union. The U.S. Russian main nuclear rival conducted the latest test in 1992 and has since relied on the computer simulations from subcritical tests, meaning that the test do not use enough fissile material to produce a self-sustained reaction. The last known test of this type took place in May, with Moscow saying it was looking closely at what is happening at the missile test sites. Russian President Vladimir Putin said last year that Moscow should be ready to resume nuclear tests if the U.S. does. We know for a fact that some people in Washington are considering running the real life tests of their nuclear weapons, while the U.S. is developing new types of nuclear weapons. What he said at the time, we won't be the first to do this, of course, but if the U.S. conducts such a test, then we will too. Rubofkov's comments comes after the U.S. allows Ukraine to carry out strikes deep into the Russian using American-made long-range weapons, despite Moscow warning that this would lead to a major escalation of the conflict. At the Kiev launched several attacks, Russia retaliated by striking a Ukrainian defense facility with the new Arsen medium-range hypersonic missiles. Before this, Moscow also amended its nuclear strategic to stipulate that aggression against Russia by a non-nuclear state, but with the participation or supporting of a nuclear state, will be treated as a joint attack crossing the nuclear threshold. Now bring out some scriptures. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, so that's why we're seeing the increasing nuclear escalations heating up over there in the Middle East, especially Western Asia, Iran versus Israel, the pro-Iranian groups going against the rebels, the proxy groups over there. And you have in Russia and Syria going against the rebel groups over there in that area. And we have in the Russian army, Syrian armies, the pro-Iranian groups going against the Israel Defense Force. We're seeing that taking place as well too. So that goes into the wars, rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. We're seeing the Russian-Ukraine situation that's heating up. And all these other nuclear escalations are heating up as well too. It says, proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles. Right, this is being proclaimed among the Gentiles, which is the armies of the other nations. Wake up the mighty men. Right, the Heavenly Father is waking up the mighty men of these armies of nations. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, that's what we're seeing over there in Western Asia, throughout that whole region. Even if it's proxy wars, wars or rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Joel chapter 3, verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares and swords and pointing hooks at the spears and let the weak say I'm strong. Right, let the weak say I'm strong, which is the armies of nations are in that warlike mindset. And that's what we're seeing. As we see Iran continue to increase their nuclear capability and open up more nuclear facilities to increase their enrichment uranium of their nuclear capability up against their adversaries, and their most adversary, which is the Israel Defense Force. So we're seeing Iran versus Israel is going to continue to increase, even though the pro-Iranian group, which is Hezbollah, even though they are at a momentary ceasefire, but those nuclear escalations are going to continue to increase, and we're going to continue to see Iran continue building up their nuclear capability. It says, Joel 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the pointing hooks and the spears, and let the weak say I'm strong. Right, let the weak say I'm strong. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3 and verse 8. In a time to love, in a time of HATE, in a time of love, in a time of war, in a time of peace. So yeah, we're definitely living in the time of war and the time of HATE as well too. Just like that is taking place in ancient times, now we see the modern day times. But we're living in modern day biblical signs of the signs of the times that the Heavenly Father Yahweh was showing us. And this is the book of St. Mark, chapter 3 and verse 23. As you see in that news article, Donald Trump has threatened the BRICS nations with tariffs, 100% tariffs, if they try to overthrow the American dollar. This is St. Mark, chapter 3, verse 23. So this is economic wars, economic divisions among the nations. This is St. Mark, chapter 3, verse 23. St. Mark chapter 3, verse 23. And he called them unto them and said in a parable, how can Satan cast out Satan? St. Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. Right, so if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. So you're going to have one kingdom being divided within its own self. You're going to have one kingdom being divided outside of another kingdom. Then you're going to have Edomites from a different country going against Edomites from a different country. You're going to have Edomites going against Moabites, Ishmaelites going against Edomites. So these are kingdoms being divided, just like it was in ancient times. Now we see it in modern day times. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. St. Mark chapter 3, verse 25. And if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. Right, so if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. That's what we're seeing. St. Mark chapter 3, verse 26. And if Satan rises up against himself and be divided, cannot stand and have an end. Right, that's what we're seeing. And this is the book of 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 3. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, uproars, and people in the world. Right, so increasing earthquakes and uproars and people in the world. 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse, 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 15. It says, for the sword and destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in hands. Right, so we know the modern day sword is the weapon. So we're going to be seeing seditions among the nations. 2nd Esdras 15 verse 16. For there should be sedition among men, invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor their princes in the course of action stand in power. Right, so citizens clash against one another. Yep. Audit. Yeah, I just heard him a few minutes ago too. Sure is. Yeah. Okay. 2nd Esdras 15 verse 16. For there should be sedition among men, invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor their princes in the course of action stand in power. It's the book of Luke 21 verse 25. Yep, Luke 21 verse 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth. Distress of nations will perplex and seize rich one. Right, so the increasing of the distress of nations will perplex and seize rich one, which we see. Go back to some more news articles. It says Russia could resume nuclear tests. This is the book of Ezekiel. As we've been seeing, the Russia-Ukraine situation is intensifying, and Russia versus NATO heating up as well too. Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put the hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth in all thy army, horse and horsemen. All of them clothed for all sorts of armor, even a great company of buckled shields, all of them handled swords. Right, so the heavy fathers putting their hooks and backs and jaws of these Russians to be in that warlike mindset, and that's what we're seeing. As Russia been launching their missiles, upgrading their missiles, testing their missiles, especially going against their adversaries, the Western countries, of the backs of Germany, Great Britain, the United States, and NATO, of those ongoing escalations that's heating up against them. So that's why we're seeing Russia is in a warlike spirit, Russian Federation war type spirit. That's what we're seeing. Ezekiel 38 verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with all of them a shield of him. Right, so Russia is economic partners with these nations, and they're war partners with them as well too, of the ongoing tensions that they face against the Western countries of Israel and I would say, Israel and the United States and the Western countries as well too, going against them. Because they say, they have the same common enemy. Ezekiel 38 verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomor of the north quarters and all his bands, many people with thee. Ezekiel, right, because Turkey is the Gomer, it's the Turkish armies throughout Iraq and Syria, going against the Israel Defense Force as well too. It says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomor of the north quarters and all his bands, many people with thee. Ezekiel 38 verse 7. Be thou prepared for thyself and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee, be thou a guard unto them. Right, so Russia is going to be against those nations of Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and Turkey over there in Western Asia. While at the same time, you had the Russia-Ukraine situation was heating up as well too. Ezekiel 39 and verse 1. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against God, and say, thus saith Yahweh thy power, behold, I am against thee, O God, and the chief prince of Meshach, Tubal. Ezekiel 39 and verse 2. It says, and I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and I will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and I will bring thee upon the mountain of Israel. Ezekiel 39 and verse 3. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and I will cause thy arrows to fall at thy right hand. And this is the prophet Isaiah 17. Yep, prophet Isaiah 17 and verse 1. The burden, it says, the burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and this shall be his roaring heat. Right, so Damascus of Syria is taken away from being a city, and this shall be his roaring heat, and that's what we are seeing. Because you have the ongoing escalations currently right now as it stands. You have the rebel groups of the Jihad, which was formed in 2016, which, the Syrian armies had to go against, Now we're seeing the resurgence of that, especially rebels and the proxy groups. And we're seeing the ongoing escalations are heating up between, the Syrian armies, the Russian armies, and the Dragons of Arabia, and the pro-Iranian groups, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard groups teaming up going against the Israel Defense Force, because you have the Israel Defense Force using airstrikes over there in the area of Syria as well too. That's why we're seeing Damascus is taken away from being the city, and she'll be its roaring heat, because you have a lot of activities going on throughout the whole region right now as we speak. Because you got the seditions, you got the escalations. Okay.